I think the first cocktail that I drank that I did not make myself, and I was like, oh, you just can't mess this up, is a rye Manhattan. High West, orange bitters instead of Angostura bitters, because you already have that spice coming from the rye. Sweet vermouth, don't really care what kind as long as it's not Carpano, because Carpano Antica is very vanilla forward, it's way too sweet. It's good for Boulevardiers, but not for Manhattans. And then orange zest instead of cherry or this or that, like none of that. And that I could drink anywhere, and I knew I could drink that anywhere because I knew exactly what I was going to get every single time. And that for me expressed like actual true balance instead of just like making a Manhattan just to make it. I think
what is being balanced?
Between the spirit, or the spirits, right? The aromatized wine and the rye whiskey. There's a really beautiful play of spice that like pertains to like a zing and baking spices that is very, very nice. I really enjoy that very much. I think by adding Angostura there, you kind of take it over the top in a way that is unnecessary. And again, it sort of like throws it off a little bit, right? So in order to create a little bit more sort of roundness, you give it orange instead of mango. And then on top of that, you've created now a fruit dimension into the cocktail that was never there. Orange and rye plays really well together.
Now, when you create the cocktails you create, what are you aspiring to in your craft? What are you trying to bring about? What does beautiful look like for you?
Truly beautiful cocktails. One, balance. They have to make sense. What I've found and what I try to teach people who work for me is that I don't want, if you just pass me a glass of, everybody wants to have something on the menu. If you pass me a glass of like what's in the cocktail, I don't really care like what's in it. I care about how you got there and what's the story behind it. The reason being because the story behind it will literally tell you how much of an ingredient you should put into this cocktail. So right now on the menu at Serenata, we have a cocktail called Perejil. And Perejil is in reference to the Perejil massacre imposed on Haitians by a Dominican dictatorship, where about 20,000 Haitians were killed on the spot if they couldn't pronounce one very particular word, which was perejil, which means parsley, right? If you can't roll your R's, that means you don't have any Spanish background, that means you're Haitian, you gotta go. Making that cocktail, when I was told that story, I immediately said, I want to make a cocktail about that. Then I thought about it and I said, I need to be 100% careful about how I'm going to do this because there are people who are still alive right now who live through that. I also want to make sure that I'm being respectful of, both countries' cultures at the end of the day. And make sure I'm being sensitive to the fact that it is a mass murder of people. So it was like, what am I going to do? The beauty in that was that I was able to find a way to incorporate parsley into a Haitian liqueur, a Haitian coffee liqueur with a Dominican rum. And it's literally, for me, I think it's one of the tastiest, it's like one of the tastiest like coffee cocktails I've ever had. But down to like the sugar cane and the cane fields that are referenced in a poem that was written about this. And being able to really sort of figure out how to incorporate that parsley properly by bringing together two cultures in one drink, right? That are obviously in this story on opposite ends of the spectrum. It's definitely not about who you're rooting for. It's about how we can come together and create something delicious and tasty and also something that teaches us a lesson. For me, that's the beauty of the cocktail, 100%. It's a brown cocktail, right? Is it the most visually inspiring thing that you've ever looked at? No. Does it taste super, super delicious? Yes. And does it innately sort of embody what it means to be this far apart in your ideologies, but be this close and similar in terms of creating something wonderful?
So tell me, what's the best compliment you can get for a cocktail?
Just for my people. There's no other approval. There's no other. This reminds me of home. I feel like I'm waking up in X. This reminds me of when I was at home. Or just, yeah. This is home for me. This is everything. Yep.
Just because we have 2 stirred cocktails and that always drives me nuts. So we're gonna do a play on a pisco sour. Oh, if I can get it. That's good enough. So generally pisco sours are, you know, on the chiller side. Sugar, lime based spirit. We do ours with Pacharan, which is a Spanish style slow gin. Obviously Peruvian pisco. We take our egg whites and we rest them on rosemary, right? Because eggs can take on sort of anything in the air, right? So instead of them smelling like eggs in your cocktail, which is gross, we want them to taste like rosemary because there's also a lemon rosemary syrup. And then we also partner up with Peruvian brothers and we use their chicha morada, right? So a little bit of tenant unity and collaboration, which is great, but also who better to make the chicha morada if you want it as Peruvian as possible, have the Peruvian folks make it, right? So, a little bit of a spin, not as bright, but definitely flavorful. It's a beautiful cocktail. And we're gonna finish it off with the traditional Angostura. So a little bit of a pattern there. And then finish it off with a D-high lemon right in the middle.
Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, like,
That is fantastic.
you know, I mean, it talks about it a little bit, but again, like, you got to make it as Peruvian as possible. You have to make it as Dominican as possible. You have to make it as, you know, El Salvadorian as possible for it to make sense, as Venezuelan as possible. And that's literally just, you just took it down the line. So
Giving people a taste of home.
yes, yes, indeed.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you liked that video, please hit that thumbs up button and share and subscribe.